In June 1994, a 23-year-old engineer at Netscape Communications named Lou Montulli sat down with a problem. A company called NCI was building one of the first commerce sites on the early web. They wanted a shopping cart, and the web at the time made shopping carts technically impossible. Within a few weeks, Montulli would solve it. The thing he invented to solve it became, over the next 30 years, the most controversial piece of technology on the internet, and we still have not agreed on whether to keep it or kill it. This is the story of the cookie. In 1994, the web was new. HTTP was a stateless protocol. Every single request a browser made to a server was treated as a brand new connection, with no memory of any previous request. The server had no idea if you were the same user who clicked the previous page or someone different entirely. This was fine when the web was just hyperlinked documents. It was a disaster the moment anyone tried to build an application on top of it. A shopping cart is exactly the kind of thing that needs memory. You add a book to it on page 1, you add a CD on page 3, you check out on page 7. At every step, the server has to know that all of those decisions belong to the same person. NCI's specific request to Netscape was clear. They could not afford for their servers to keep track of every half-finished cart from every user worldwide. The memory had to live somewhere else. Montulli's idea was to put the memory on the user's computer, a small piece of data written into the browser by the server, which the browser would automatically include with every future request to that same server. The server tells the browser, "Remember this." The browser sends it back every time. The server reads it and reconstructs the user's state on the fly. The mechanism was simple to specify. A new HTTP header from the server, called setCookie, a new request header from the browser, just called cookie. Montulli wrote the initial spec with another Netscape engineer, John Gianandrea, the same year. The name came from somewhere older. Programmers had been using the term magic cookie since at least the 1970s in Unix systems to describe a small piece of data passed between programs that did not mean anything to the transport, only to the endpoints, like a fortune cookie, a message wrapped in a container. Montulli kept the name. Mosaic Netscape version 0.9 beta shipped with cookie support on October 13, 1994. Within a few months, every major commerce site on the web was using them. The shopping cart problem was solved, but Montulli had also done something else, without quite realizing it. The original cookie spec said that any server which set a cookie would only get that cookie back when the user visited that same server. Simple, predictable. But the web does not load only one server at a time. A page on a news site could include an image, an iframe, a script, all served from a completely different domain, like an ad network. When the browser fetched that image from the ad network server, it would send back any cookies the ad network had set on previous visits. This is the third-party cookie. The ad network could now identify the same user across every site that loaded an ad from it, a perfect tracking grid, built accidentally on top of a shopping cart feature. In February 1996, the Financial Times published an article exposing how cookies worked. It was the first time the public understood that browsers were quietly storing identifiers on their behalf. The IETF working group, by then, had already noticed the third-party issue. Their proposed standard, the future RFC 2109, originally required browsers to reject third-party cookies by default. The advertising industry pushed back hard. As a compromise to ship the spec at all, that section was removed. Cookies became official in February 1997, with third-party tracking quietly intact. That single removed paragraph is, arguably, the reason the modern advertising web exists, the reason GDPR exists, the reason cookie banners exist, the reason your browser now ships with anti-tracking features. The backlash took 20 years. In 2017, Apple launched Intelligent Tracking Prevention in Safari, the first major browser to start blocking third-party cookies by default. In 2018, the European Union's GDPR forced consent banners onto every site that touched a European user. In 2020, Google announced Chrome would phase out third-party cookies entirely. That announcement got delayed and delayed and delayed again. And then in July 2024, Google walked it back completely. Chrome would not in fact kill third-party cookies. The ad ecosystem had won the argument for the second time in 30 years. Lou Montulli, for what it is worth, has spent the last decade publicly defending the cookie. He argues it was the right solution for the problem he was actually trying to solve, and that the tracking abuse was a separate decision the industry made, not the technology's fault. He is mostly right. The original cookie was a short specification for a shopping cart. Everything that came after was choices. There is a deeper lesson here. The web is full of features that were invented in a few weeks to fix a specific, small problem, and then quietly became the foundation of trillion-dollar industries built on side effects nobody designed. Cookies are the cleanest example. A Friday afternoon decision in 1994 that we are still arguing about in 2026. That is it. If you learned something new, hit like and subscribe. See you next time.